Today we're doing a WIP purge. Hello and welcome if you're new and welcome back if you're not. My name is Cindy and this is the Growing Wild Studios YouTube channel. Over here we do lots of creative endeavors, mainly crochet and yarn related things, but we do all sorts of different fiber arts involving lots of different types of colorful string. So why am I doing a WIP purge today? Part of it is that I moved into this house. You saw me do a little craft closet organization video because I had, my own space to store all of my projects and supplies for the first time. And really the first reason is that I haven't kept up with the organization as well as I would have liked. All organization systems need a little bit of upkeep from time to time, but I'm very much a serial shove it in a basket and work it out later. So now is later, basically, and I just want to go through some of my bits and bobs, make sure the, regular everyday supplies are things that I still need and want to keep. And just get into the baskets, get onto the shelf, and really just do a good old organization. Second reason is that being a crafty person, I tend to collect supplies, collect projects, without asking myself if I want to keep doing them. So I don't have a lot of current WIPs that I actively am working on. I'm very good about not having a ton. I usually have between 1 and 3 at any given moment, and those sit on my craft cart right next to my desk. But I do have a backlog of projects that I've separated in bags and bins where I either have all of the supplies and I need to just start working on them next, uh, or I need to get more supplies for them. I'm collecting supplies, especially yarn that requires different sorts of scraps and stuff. And I honestly just need to go through every sort of project that's on my docket list. The oldest project I think that I have from that list is probably 3 years old, and I can already hear some of you telling me that's not an old project, but for me it is. So I want to just go through everything, see what I have planned for myself, and especially because we're coming to the end of the year. It's the busy season for me, and I know I'm going to want to start the new year fresh. Just decide what projects are worth keeping for me and what projects I'm ready to let go of, ready to let go of those supplies, and just have projects that I am excited to work on. So, I have a lot of decisions to make. I've started pulling things out just to get a sense of what's going on. But let's get to it, y'all. All right. I am gonna hold up things kind of one by one, talk about the project I had in mind, and honestly, we'll keep a tally of what stays and what goes. I am going to start with what's right in front of me, which is all of my fabric, whether it is attached to a project or not. And I'm going to sort through it. We'll start with the project stuff first. Now, these two, this is a corduroy and a velvet, I believe. I got this from my grandma's stash and I picked this up from Make and Mend. And I have them because I want to make a footstool. I like sitting on the couch, and my husband and I very often lay at opposite ends with our legs crossing. Not that I don't like that, but it would also be nice to have my feet up when I look at the television when I'm crocheting in a better form than usual. I am going to keep these for right now because I still would like to do that project. I had these 3 fabrics, and I'll hold them up a little bit for you. This kind of these two pink silks, as well as this floral that is not a silk, but I was trying to pair them together. I was gonna make this very flowy skirt, this tiered skirt, even something that I could pull up over my chest and have as a dress that was a little shorter, um, rather than full length. But the more that I look at this fabric, the more that I don't like how this floral fabric feels. Even though the colors go together really well, like I think this is like a beautiful palette holding it up here. I just, this color block nature, the like strips of rectangles of color and fabric, it's just not something that I'm into anymore. This is going to be my first pass project. Next, we have this fabric, which is a stretchy knit fabric. It has like a little peach gingham with all of these fruits on it. There's lemon and strawberry and apple and watermelon. And I think you can tell from my tone of voice that I think this is the cutest fabric. This was also a purchase from Make and Mend. I got it not being totally sure what I was gonna do. I thought about a dress, but I'm just not sure. Quite frankly, like, I come from a grandmother and a mother who were fantastic sewists, and I would love to sew as well as them. But I just don't think that I love sewing as much as they did. I am very happy to have the skill. I love it for mending. I love it for altering garments that are, completed and I'm, making it fit me or I'm doing some alterations to it. I do not think I am a make from scratch sewist. So I think it pains me to say this, but I have had this fabric for a year. I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. I think I am going to pass this on so that someone else can make something so cute with it. Next up is this fabric. Now, I'm not entirely sure what my plans for this was. I did get this from my grandmother's stash. I think at one point I wanted to pair it with this pattern and make like this lovely dress, either I think in the short sleeve option, or I was gonna make it in this skirt. I just don't think I like this fabric anymore, so this one is also gonna go on the to-go pile. Last of the fabric that I had a project for, I definitely know I was gonna make this long sleeve dress pattern with it. But I have had this fabric for 2 years, yet another Make and Mend find. Since I've had this fabric, I have purchased a secondhand dress that I think is very similar and suits the needs I would get out of this dress, and I think I'm gonna pass on this fabric too. Last but not least is this pile of fabric. It is turned inside out, so I'm just gonna hold up a scrap. But it is this fabric. This is a fabric that I use to reline my husband's jacket many moons before he was my husband. When we were, honestly, it was probably the first year we were dating. He still has that jacket. He loves that jacket, but that jacket is definitely starting to see the end of its lifespan. I personally have no need for this particular print. I think at one time I was going to pair it with like the pink and the dark pink silks and make something for myself, but I just don't like that option anymore. I am going to ask my husband if he wants me to reline a jacket for him that he, purchases to replace this one when it, is kind of donezo. If he wants me to keep it for that purpose, I will keep this fabric, but otherwise I will be donating. Next, I am going to talk about 3 blanket projects. One of these is actually a current WIP that I've been working on this year. Um, but really, I'm talking about them together because they're all for the same purpose. So, I am a part of the prayer shawl ministry at my church that donates blankets to people who might need a little bit of comfort at the moment. So, I am in the process of making one, and I have two more on the docket. This is the one I'm currently working on. It is kind of it's meant to be kind of a scrappy project where every row you're, using some different colors. I had a bunch of this purple and black and I just wanted to use it up. I'm, working through it. It's going well. I am definitely keeping this project. Next, I have these yarns. So I think I pulled out a bunch of stuff in order to do my intro and have an interesting angle. In that process, I did an easy bit of organizing just to kind of see where everything was. And these are kind of yarns that I have no idea what I'm going to use them for. Honestly, these were things that I had put into a donate section. These are things that my mom, who is not crocheting as much anymore, gave to me, or I had for a different project that never happened, and it's a one-off skein, or leftovers from a past project I just don't see myself using. They don't go together for the most part. However, I mentioned this blanket was kind of meant to be a scrappy pattern. This is actually the second time I've made this project. The first one I did, I used a ton of like the little bits and pieces where you have like an eensy teeny little ball of yarn left over, and made the pattern that way. So I think what I'm gonna do is, rather than just let this yarn go, I will make kind of an ongoing scrap yarn project starting with these, which will be the same pattern as this. And I just have a little bit more of the colors to kind of work with, where every row will be kind of random. There won't be a specific pattern to it. So I can use up this yarn, and then as I go through skeins and have little bits of pieces, I can add to it. So I am keeping this yarn. And in this WIP purge, I've managed to create a new project for myself. But I always have a blanket going for prayer shawl. So having more than one is not kind of the end of the world to me. So this project is a keep. Next is the last prayer shawl blanket that I have on deck. This is also a lot of leftovers. These are actually leftovers from my very first video on this channel earlier this year, where I did a baby blanket. I had leftovers of the second skein, but I must have miscalculated, or the kit gave me an extra yarn ball just in case. So I have full skeins plus a little bit extra of each of these colors. And I made two big projects last year that used a lot of black yarn. And I ended up with a huge extra skein of black yarn in addition to the one I'm using for this project. So I am going to finish this project, and whatever black yarn I use, I'm going to make another one of I'm going to make it maybe a little bit bigger than the baby blanket size, but the chevron blanket I am going to use the black yarn instead of the cream yarn. So the next set of projects are really ones that don't have a specific rhyme or reason to them. These are kind of just the rest of the projects that have been in the back of my brain to use the yarn for, and kind of have on the docket for the next to pull out. Getting into the first project, I guess we're going to start small to kind of large. This has two projects in it, even though it only has two skeins of yarn. If you saw my kind of skinny scarf, Sophie scarf inspired video, I talked about how I had originally paired this yarn with the yarn I used for that project. to make a big triangle shawl. Um, but I just didn't want to make a triangle shawl I wasn't going to wear. So I separated them and decided this would become an ear warmer. This is still the plan, and I am going to keep this for that project. Second from this project bag is this skein, which you also saw me talk about in my Philly yarn crawl, the second video where I talk about everything that I got. I mentioned wanting to make a hat out of it, but not being sure. And just the more that I talk about it, the more that I want to make a hat out of this. This is a super cute, very fall hat color, and I want to make a beanie out of it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do with it. The next project is a little bit interesting. So I mentioned again in my Philly yarn crawl video that I want to make new pillows for my couch. Since that video, I have purchased these pillow inserts secondhand, but I just haven't had the time to start the new project. But also, I just am not sure of how much yarn I'm going to need. I think I just need to get into the pattern and double check and see what my yardage is of all of the beautiful yarn I've already purchased. So I think part of my hesitation with this is that I'm supposed to be using DK weight yarn, and some of the yarn that I purchased, it's just thinner. I think it's more like fingering weight, so I know I'm gonna have to double up a little bit. For sure, this is a project that's staying, not going anywhere, not getting rid of any of this yarn. However, I think I'm transitioning this project to be a slower project, kind of like this scrappy ongoing blanket. I think there are definitely yarns in here that are scraps. They're my nicer scraps of kind of hand-dyed yarn. So I think I'm just going to transition this to be an ongoing project, and feel less bad about it not being done or, being in flux. So that way I don't feel like I have to map out everything ahead of time, and I can just enjoy the process of putting some pretty yarns together. The next project is also a pillow project. I would like 2 pillows on each side of the couch. One of the granny square one, and one that uses this fabric. This again was a secondhand find. Here, I'll put it up. It's got these beautiful birds. I have a velvet green couch, so I thought that the green really matched with it, and then the rest kind of, makes it fun and fancy. I know I don't have enough of this fabric to make 2 pillows front and back, so am planning to use this blue as kind of the backing, so the front will be the bird pattern, this will be the back. And this is a keep. This is absolutely a keep. And these are just the pillow inserts that go with it. Another bag and another Philly yarn crawl project I make for myself. I again talked about this in that video, so I will be brief, but this is yarn that I purchased to make a little mini love statue cracked bell pillow. I definitely was feeling the Philly love and was missing Philly after moving. So this is for that project. This is some yarn that all right, I'm going to be honest. Some of this is just hand-dyed yarn that I bought because, as you might know, hand-dyed yarn doesn't usually stay in stock for a while. I really liked the colors, or I really liked what it was inspired by, and I wanted it, so I bought it. Some of these yarns, when I purchased them, were originally for a different project because, as I mentioned, I don't usually like to purchase yarn without having a project in mind. So, for instance, Fangirl Fibers put out this set of 3 Barbie-inspired yarn. This one is Rollerblade Barbie, pink one is just plain Barbie, and this is Malibu Barbie. And I love the Barbie movie, and I really wanted to get it. So I convinced myself that I was going to make a scarf with it, and then realized that I didn't like the pattern. So this has just been held on for a little while, and you know, we'll talk about what I've tried to make it into in a minute. Other yarn that I've had with these were kind of purchased because there is a blanket by Not a Crawl Crochet. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but it is a pattern that she released in conjunction with Hugh Loco, who made a collection of farmers market inspired yarn um, in the summer of 2024, I believe. And I loved the pattern. I loved the yarn. And I was convincing myself that it was worth it to pay for multiple full skeins of hand-dyed yarn for this blanket. And in the end, I couldn't afford it all at once. Quite frankly, if I had the means, I would have made this blanket in that yarn by now. But the compromise was kind of twofold. I made a cowl out of the mini skein set, and I love it so much. It's one of the crochet items that I actually wear a lot. And for the pattern itself, I decided I would collect skeins of yarn throughout, the course of a while. These skeins, which I had bought for, that non-existent scarf, got, transitioned to this. I'm going to hold on to this for this blanket. And I purchased this also exclusive colorway in order to use it for this blanket. And then I purchased this limited time exclusive colorway for this blanket. And, by the time I had purchased a bunch of them, I realized that a lot were the same color. All of the yarn I pulled out of this black bag has confirmed will be going into the blanket right here. The rest of these simply are just so similar, and especially they look so similar to this one. I couldn't justify putting them in the blanket as well, especially when it's supposed to kind of look a little bit like a honeycomb. They're supposed to be distinct, so you can tell them apart from each other. So that's kind of what happened there. I am keeping these three together because I think they are cohesive enough that they tell a cohesive color story, and they would be good for one project. I just don't know what that project is. So these remain together so I don't separate them. Then these remain in a separate project bag, and is another one I'm collecting more yarn for, and I don't want to start on that blanket project until I have all of the yarn. Every month I say I'm going to buy another skein, and then something else comes up that I want to buy. So I am recommitting myself to this project. I am saying it here. I'm saying it now. I want to have purchased all of the yarn for this project in the next year. I would say my stretch goal is that within a year, or by the end of 2026, I will be completed or at least made very good progress on this blanket. All right. This yarn is a little bit of my shame yarn. This is the Portobello yarn from Hobbii. I really like this yarn. I think these colors are super cute. I think they would look super cute in this cardigan. But I think that I am not interested in making that cardigan anymore. Which makes me really sad. Because that was like one of the first patterns I ever purchased. Usually I would rely on free patterns, but I wanted to challenge myself. So I am a little bit ashamed of this yarn. I would like to keep this yarn because I think it is a very good color palette. I think it's super cohesive and I really like it. I have been wanting to make a vest, and I have a bunch of vest patterns saved in my hopes and dreams folder. So I think that instead of making that cardigan sweater, I am going to use this to make a vest. All right, it is a new day. A few weeks later, this is a little bit of editing Cindy coming at you. After going through all the footage, putting together, all of the different projects we talked about, I am at a 25-ish minute video. And rather than have me ramble on for another 20 minutes about how I think I might complete all of the projects we discussed, I'm actually just going to show you. There will be a new video coming out towards the end of the year in the new year. Really just kind of showing you a vlog of what I work on, how it comes together. I have already started that. I've actually just recorded a clip for it. And there are already changes from what I discussed a little bit. So look out for that video in the next coming months. I want to say thank you again for everyone coming up on this YouTube journey with me, the journey of this, what has become a very big project De-Stash. And I'm just, excited for everyone who watches any of my videos. If you would like to be notified when the project vlog comes out, you can subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out as I try and, build the community, build the channel. And really, I just want you to be notified of my videos when they come out. You can also like this video. Feel free to hit the notification bell as well. But really, I just wanted to say thanks for coming along on this journey with me. I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!